Now, the Institute of Race Relations is one of those parties that were against Eskom's PFMA exemption, and I think they were even considering seeking legal advice. Gabriel Crouse, the organization's head of campaigns, joins us now for his reaction. Gabriel, good afternoon. Welcome to Today. I'm sure you're pleased about this decision.
Yes, Dan, thank you so much. We are delighted to see the best chance at keeping the lights on come back. And that best chance lies in transparency, in value for money, not hide the money. So both the ending of the state of disaster, which we had opposed from the beginning, and the reversal of this audit exemption that was gazetted last week are both good things.
Yeah, but you don't buy government's explanation, the Minister of Finance saying that they made this decision to exempt Eskom from certain provisions of the Public Finance Management Act with fiscal sustainability in mind?
I'm not going to second guess the minister's intentions. Maybe that is what he had in mind. But I think if you look at what Eskom had actually applied for, the reasons that they gave, I can more or less quote the letter from the chairperson. They said, we want not to have to undergo full audit, because we basically know that if we undergo a full audit, we're going to get a qualified audit. That means not a clean audit. And that is going to make it more difficult for us to borrow money. Now, it's just not good enough to avoid a qualified audit by removing the full strict Auditor General requirements. And I acknowledge that there are slightly different requirements for a state-owned enterprise versus a normal business. But Eskom can't pretend to be a normal business. Eskom is not a normal business because you and I have to pay the money if they mess up. A normal business, if it goes bankrupt, the owners, they eat the bullet. But if Eskom goes bankrupt, you and I, the taxpayer, we have to pay the money. And the ordinary South African that suffers in the darkness is paying with more than cash. They're paying with opportunities, which is even worse.
Yeah. So are you there, Gabriel?
Audits, and they were trying to dodge that. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry, we lost you there for a short while. You can carry on.
I'm just saying that Eskom is, because it's an SOE, a state-owned enterprise, that means it's a South African-owned enterprise. We all own it together. That is why the audit requirements are more strict for Eskom. And that extra level of scrutiny should never be up for question, should never be removed. And that's why we're glad the exemptions are staying where they are.
Yeah,
are being taken away.
Yeah, I mean, one of the reasons that we heard as we were looking at this yesterday was that it was going to help Eskom as well to be viewed as credit-worthy and then be able, as you say, to borrow money, which really is something very baffling, because that means you are risking good governance because you don't want to disclose where you are misspending just for the sake of borrowing more money and saddling the state with more debt, which is they are already helping you with. The other issue that has happened today is the revoking of the state of disaster in electricity crisis. Gabriel, I don't know what was IRR's position about it, but there were many anti-voices when it was launched or declared about 2 months ago. Now that as well is gone. What's your reaction to that news?
Yeah, at the time, we said very clearly that announcing a state of disaster is going to have the effect of making it easier to do shady deals and harder for Parliament and ordinary South Africans to see what's going on. So we were against it from the beginning. We wrote to the Kochta minister at the time saying, please, can you explain yourself? Can you try to explain yourself? Minister Dlamini Zuma did not even try to explain herself. She's subsequently been replaced. In light of this new development, we've written to the Kochta office again saying, can you please pick up where your predecessor left us in the lurch and say, you know, was a mistake made? And the same question we're sending to the Eskom chair. Since this thing has been reversed and to Treasury, both the disaster and the exemptions, is it possible the reason it's been reversed is things have changed so much when we're all still suffering load shedding? Or is it possible that what happened is a mistake was made? And if a mistake was made to announce the disaster in the first place, which reduced oversight, and if a mistake was made in gazetting an exemption from full audits, again, obstructing oversight, then can we just admit that a mistake was made? And if we can admit a mistake was made, can we do better? And do better in a more reliable way? The Institute of Race Relations has, for the last year and 3 months, drawn attention to the fact that the Zondo report, the State Capture Commission report, identifies the best way to increase transparency in order to increase service delivery, especially for the poor, is by cutting all priorities below the priority of maximum value for money. So maximum value for money must come ahead of racial considerations. It must come ahead of localization considerations. It must come ahead of any consideration that will in any way distract from the regular accounting business of trying to maximize value for money. The reason is we're a poor country. The reason is the lights are falling out. The reason is that we have the highest unemployment rate on record in the world. And the best way to get forward out of this mess is to get the best bang for buck, is to maximize value for money. So we've been saying to Treasury, to Eskom, to Kochta, to now the new electricity minister, we've been writing to all of them saying, please help us, help ordinary South Africans improve transparency by cutting the red tape, by letting these things really be run like businesses, where the primary goal is to get the best goods, the fastest, the most reliably to the customer, to the client, which is ordinary South Africans who depend on Eskom for electricity.
Thank you very much, Gabriel Crouse, the head of campaigns at the Institute for Race Relations, giving us his reaction to two developments today that we've been covering for you. One being the government backtracking on that exemption it had given to Eskom from disclosing irregular, fruitless and wasteful expenditure in terms of the PFMA. And then, of course, the other one of revoking with immediate effect, and it's since been gazetted, the national state of disaster in the energy crisis.